Everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at an HP/Agilent 54624A 100 megahertz 4-channel digital oscilloscope. This is a second version of these scopes originally released by HP. They're a compact digital CRT-based scope, and I like them a lot. I have the 2-channel 100 megahertz HP version here on my bench. I put some colorful knobs on it because why not? And I'm very happy with it. In the first version of these, it's the only mega zoom scope that they had, which means it has their deep sample memory. I think it was 2 megapoints. The new version here, which is Agilent branded, is also mega zoom, and this has, I believe, 4 megapoints of sample memory. So what do I like about these scopes? Well, for one, I like the size of the screen. The screen's bigger than on my Tech 2445, which I love. And also, the scope is just really easy to use. It works. It's very analogish in terms of how it works. The controls are super responsive. If we look here, like, there's no lag. I have a Agilent SDS 1104XE, which is a great scope. I like it, but even with that, like, the controls, they just I have a Agilent SDS 1104XE, which is a great scope. I like it, but even with that, like, the controls, they feel just a little sluggish. And I've seen some other digital scopes where you turn a knob and there's a really noticeable difference between it catches up with what it's doing. This performs as well as as any analog scope that I have. If we take a look here, we can see the scope is pretty compact. It's not very deep. A tech scope would probably come out to about back here. So less space on the bench. It's lightweight. It's lighter than a lot of, it's relatively lightweight than other analog scopes. And it's very modular the way it's constructed inside. There's a power supply module, there's the video module, and then there's the main board that does everything that's on it. The second generation of these scopes also built in a lot of things that were an option on the first gen. The first gen scopes had a module that you could put on the back to let you do serial parallel output or GPIB. You also needed a module to do measurements like FFT. This has all of that built in. You have serial parallel and FFT, other math stuff, already built into the scope. So they definitely made it a much more complete product the second time around. This is somewhat of a Frankenstein scope. This is put together from parts from 3 different of these HP scopes. My first attempt at getting one of this model was a 2-channel 100 megahertz scope. I got it. It died. I wound up saving the power supply and the video unit, and I saved the case because just in case. The second one of these I picked up was this same model. It was the 4-channel one. Used it for a month. One of the channels died, and wasn't able to fix it. Found out that the self-cal switch on the back was busted, and also I just set the unit aside. And again, parts. Maybe I would do something with it, or I'd sell it for parts. I didn't know what. But another one came up on eBay at a really good price. It showed that it was damaged. The bezel that was on it has this big crack in it, and the case, clearly this was knocked around or something, but like the foot and piece was broken off the case here, broken off there, like this part of the foot, whatever, it was broken. So I thought, well, I've got all these parts, maybe I can put together one good working scope, and that's what I did. So the case is from the original scope. Let's say scope number 1. The front bezel and controls, this was from scope number 2, and the working guts was from scope number 3. And altogether, I've got a good version of this. And so far, it seems to be working really well. It did a self-test, did a self-cal, all of that works well. The one thing though that this does, and let's see if it does it here now. That's the disk drive. Is it tells me system concerns, battery is low, RAM disk defaulted, default setup loaded, default label list was loaded. So basically what it means is the battery inside is dead. So maybe in a future video we will we'll change the battery in it. Nice thing about this scope is it has one 3-volt battery. It's a 3-volt coin cell. It is soldered onto the main board, but it's pretty easy to get to. The older versions of these scopes used the Dallas battery-backed static RAM chips, and those are pretty old. My scope hasn't complained about it yet, but you know, it's pushing a 20-year-old battery. I mean, so is this, but you can't change the battery in the Dallas chips. But I do have a workaround for that. Hopefully, in another video, we'll put together some FRAM chips on an adapter board that are supposed to be able to replace those Dallas non-volatile RAM chips. And so that'll be a bit of a project, but it should be fun. And if I can do that, then my 100 megahertz and my 60 megahertz HP scopes will no longer be dependent on battery-backed static RAM to hold their setup and cal data. So if we just go back and auto acquire, like I said, I like the display on this. It's a nice scope to use. Measurement wise, you know, it defaults to showing frequency and peak-to-peak voltage, but I can select another measurement. Let's say RMS voltage. I can select that, do measure RMS, and just pops it up on the screen. So a lot of built-in measurements. And like I said, very easy to go through and select. It's got the usual. It's got cursors. It has X and Y cursors, which is nice. Lots of triggering options. I can trigger on any of the 4 channels. It'll do pattern triggering, so it'll look for, you know, high or low pulses, rising and falling trigger. It will do TV triggering, which let me put this back to something else because that's looking. You know, back when NTSC TV signals were the big thing, so you know, it's just nice. It's got a nice complement of features to it. Utility, we can configure I/O for printing. So this is what I/O here. This is more for communication, so you can program it. Print configuration, pick your printer. You know, LaserJet, DeskJet, Epson printers. Yes, it's an old scope, so it has that, but print to parallel, or it'll print to disk. You know, floppy disk. There's none in there, but you can load and delete files, scroll through them. In the service menu, it's got a user cal that you can run easily. If we look at the user cal status, we can see the last time I calibrated this was September 21st when I got it. No failures, so that all looks good. Self-test and an about screen on here. So this is copyright 2000, you know, 2001. So yeah, it's 24-year-old scope. They did make I/O modules for this. There's no module connected into this. I think there's a GPIB module for it, but most of that module stuff was built into the scope anyway. And you know, that's about it from the display standpoint. You could adjust the grid. It does have grid lines, so you can turn them up and down. And the other thing that was nice about this scope is that it has. Oh, let me just turn this grid down a little bit. It also has intensity grading, so it can give you a more analog-ish signal. Let me turn off that. Let's see if I can call up something here to get a better look at that. Let's do AM. Yeah. So if we what have we got here? So let's do this at 1 kilohertz, and we're gonna go back, and we'll do this at, nope, frequency, and we'll do this at 1 megahertz. Here we go. So I can vary the intensity here and get, let's see here, can I get a, here we go. Let's see, can we trigger a bit better? Of course we can. And so by varying the intensity, we get a much more analog-like view. So that was a nice feature that they added on the scope. The previous scopes didn't have that intensity grading. It just had, the knob just controlled the overall screen intensity. So this is nice. They did a good, it's got a little thing in the corner that shows you sort of what percentage. So the previous version of it, this image would have looked like this. And the only way you would have seen something different is if you turned off vectors, maybe played around with the acquiring, you know. All right, well, averaging isn't probably what we want to see, but yeah, they did a nice job with this. So you can, like I said, get a much more analog look out of it. And of course, you know, none of these scopes is complete without XY mode. And let's go back here, pick a sine wave. Hold on, I got to turn modulation off. There we go. If we turn both channels back on, let's go here, channel 1, we'll do 1 kilohertz, channel 2, so ready at that. There we go, here we go. And if we put in XY mode, something that a lot of digital, especially digital scopes today, do not do a good job of is XY mode. And I may do another video just showing XY mode across a couple of these different scopes, but oh, let's get it down here. There we go. But this is nice and smooth. So this is a 1 kilohertz signal on both channels. If I put a 1 megahertz signal on both channels, 1 megahertz, turn that up a little bit, and let's just no, it looks really good. I'll get it to the point where we've got. I could show you on, like, the Agilent does a really bad job of XY mode on things. And like I said, this is, you know, this is a pretty, you know, pretty high frequency signal that we're putting into it. So yeah, these are even the previous version of these scopes. They're fun little scopes to use. So yeah, next video will be we'll swap out the battery in this. That means I got to take it apart, got to take the main board out, desolder the battery, solder a new battery onto it. But I've been in, I've taken a look. Doesn't look like it should be too difficult. And then we'll replace this on the bench. We'll put this on the bench and replace the 2-channel scope. And then we'll take a look at the 2-channel scope, the 100 and the 60 megahertz versions, and how we're going to swap out the Dallas RAM chips, because those things are a pain in the butt. Anyway, until then, oh, look at that. Until then, I think that's it for this video. All the usual, like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you have questions or comments, put them down below. If you can find one of these, I mean, well, you can find lots of these on eBay. Most of them are in pretty good condition. Some of them are a little pricey. Like I said, I took a chance and bought this from one of the liquidation places. I paid $100 for it. You know, if you like this style scope, pick up one of these, the HP Agilent 54600 range of scopes. Like I said, I have 3 of them. in addition to one of their logic analyzers. And 16-channel logic analyzer, and it looks just like a scope. It works just like a scope. Same display, same kind of, similar controls on it, which really makes it sort of fun to use because there's really nothing new to learn. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for joining, and I will see you next time. Take care.